It is a... I'm just gonna go to the alphabet. Oba, Oka, Oda, Ova, Oga, Oga, Ola, M, Oma, N, Ona, O, P, it is Opal? Opal? Like the Opal Pearl thing? Q, R, it is Aura? S, Osa, T, Ota, U, V, Ova, W, X. I'm gonna put P. Nope. No, sorry. This one's a hard one. Cove. R. That's a point for me. This is a really hard one. L. Enter one letter of the alphabet. O, P, L. Oha? Oba. Yeah, I gotta add an arm now. I don't, no idea. I said L, right? Enter one letter of the alphabet. Not that. It is Oka. It is okay. It is okay. It is okay. You're gonna get it. It is okay. You got it. In simple handwritten letters was the message, "It is okay." Stunned, your eyes slowly trailed up to his. That's what you wanted to say? Cove averted his gaze for a moment. His cheeks grew pinker, but slowly his expression grew more serious. He turned back to you. Cove reached up and caressed your neck. His touch was feather light, and you leaned on into it. That was very sweet.
Okay.
It is okay. You hugged him, you laughed, you eyes teared up, you kissed him, you placed a hand over his. I would kiss him. You brought a hand up to caress the side of his jaw and press your lips to his. All the tension in your body melted away. Your smile was beaming when you two parted. I love you, Vaughn. Thank you. Thank you. I should have... No, where's the I know? Where's the I know response? There should be an I know. You didn't say anything. I love you too. It was a good game. I'm really lucky to know you. You're such a lovely person. Thank you. I love you too. Cove smiled softly, letting the moment linger. Eventually, a light tapping at the door caught your attention. It slowly opened and Lee popped her head in, giving a little wave. Hey, how are you holding up? I'm okay. Not good. You stared like at her. You shrugged from your spot in bed. I'm okay. Okay. Good. Still, Lee sounded unsure. You gave a reassuring smile as best you could manage in the moment. Lee rubbed her hands together. You raised an eyebrow, knowing her well enough to tell that she was preparing herself to say something. Well, I talked to the captain, and it's no problem for us to swing back to the mainland sooner than the usual schedule. We're already on our way, if that helps. No, I didn't want to end it early. Oh man, my freak out caused us to end this early, man. Thank you. Thank God we're going to be out of here. You don't have to do that. You looked away without saying anything. You don't have to do that. You felt even worse. Now racked with guilt for truly spoiling the trip, Lee shook her head. We've already had a fun full day. There's no need to push it. We had to be back before nightfall anyways. It's no big deal to head back now. That's cool. Really cool. Thanks, Lee. His expression was hopeful. Cove was as eager for you to feel better as you were. He placed a gentle hand on your shoulder, giving it a reassuring squeeze. Vaughn, let's go home. I don't want to go home. I want to socialize. I want to party. I want to socialize. At least give me a chance to socialize as we go home. A snorted laugh escaped Lee instantly. She turned away with her hand covering her mouth, but a few more giggles shook her before she looked back. I didn't know you two moved in together. Cove's brow furrowed as his expression slipped into a displeased frown. He didn't move to face Lee, but instead he decided to lean a bit closer to you. Just ignore her. You know what I meant. Your mouth curled into a delicate smile. Yeah, let's go home. Well, my house is practically your house too, Cove. Come on, I can't just pretend that kind of slip didn't happen. Well, my house is practically your house too, Cove. You're hardly a neighbor. Rolled his eyes as Lee roared with laughter again, clapping her hands.
Come on.
Are you two done yet? You know what I meant. Yeah. Okay. And then Lee shifted the weight on her feet like she was antsy.
Sorry.
Hey, Vaughn, I'm really sorry about today. I didn't mean to invite you out on a boat that would make you feel like garbage. I'm sorry I ruined the trip. I can forgive you for such a slight against me personally. You're welcome. How could you have known this would happen? I'm sorry I ruined the trip.
Don't worry about it.
No one needs to be sorry for this. No one did anything wrong. Looking relieved, Lee's eyes brightened. With things truly settled, you started to feel better than before already. The rest of the boat ride went by peacefully. Everyone agreed to let you rest as much as possible until I docked at the harbor once more. That's the thing, I don't need to rest. I want to socialize. Why aren't you letting me socialize? Just because I freak out on a boat doesn't mean I want to be away from the people. I think that's the thing that I have a problem with this, is that, like, especially because I wasn't nauseous. If I wasn't nauseous, I don't need to go. If I'm just, afraid or freaked out over the boat bobbing, putting me in this room is not necessarily the best thing. What the best thing is for me to stay with the rest of the people and socialize, because that's a distraction. That's a better distraction. You putting me in here, I can still feel the boat moving. I can still see the ocean out the window. That's not going to help me. What's going to help me is if I can actually be around people and socialize. Let me be an extrovert, game. Let me be an extrovert. I can understand this if I chose the nausea option, but I didn't choose the nausea option. If I was not nauseous, I don't need to lie down and rest. That's not what I need. Finally, the time came and you were able to disembark. The sun was still setting along the horizon during the long trip back to Sunset Bird. You blinked dozily, watching the fading rays coming through the car window. You turned your head to spy on Cove from your spot in the back seat. You wondered what he was thinking. Cove's focus was completely absorbed in driving home. An affectionate warmth fluttered in your chest at the simple sight of your neighbor. You were grateful that Cove was there today. Now that you were safely back on land, you were feeling more at ease. Your eyes were growing heavier from the exertion today. But even though the trip didn't go as planned, it wasn't all bad. There were nice moments that made all the trouble worth it. The people that you cared most about cared for you just as much in return. A big yawn rumbled through you and left your eyes in a tired squint. Rolling your head to look out the window once more, you watched the scenery pass on by, growing more and more familiar as home came closer. You'd be back soon, and you smiled thinking about what an adventure the day turned out to be. You truly ventured out to sea, and you returned alive. As far as you were concerned, that was quite a victory. Okay. Cool. That was definitely one of my lesser favorites of the moments, only because the latter part just didn't make sense to me in reaction to how I reacted to things, but they can't all be, as good as, say, Reflection and Charity, so that's fine. So I realized that I had already done Drive, because that was when we went over to Cove's mom's house. And I guess what happened was I played through it, but I didn't save after it, so I just went through it over again, just skipped everything until I got to each individual choice, and I just selected the exact same dialogue choices that I did the first time. So, finally, we are in the very last moment of step 3, and that is the happiness moment, which I was told to save for the very end. So I did. The day and the week were nearing their end, and you were welcoming it in your own way, by lying sprawled out on your bed. It was quiet in your house, getting to that time of the night where you really should be sleeping, but you didn't feel tired at all. You rolled onto your side. Outside, the last lit-up window across the street blinked out, leaving the buildings on the block faceless silhouettes against a blue-black sky dotted by stars. Your phone came to life on the nightstand, a pale light cast on the ceiling of your room. Without looking, you threw your arm out behind yourself, groping around on the tabletop until your phone was under your palm. At that point, you lifted it to your face, snorting once you saw the familiar name attached to a short message, just reading, "Hey." "Hey. Sup?" Cove wasn't much for sleeping now either. As you made to reply though, more and more texts came through in quick succession. "Hey, you like doing things? You like doing things with me? I mean, what I'm saying is that there are things you and I do and we like. I feel like somebody took Cove's phone. Together at the same time." Now, that was eyebrow raising. You propped yourself up on one elbow, sitting upright against the headboard so you could text more comfortably. I don't think this is Cove. "Yeah? Wow, you've got it all figured out. Dang, you stink at texting. Man, am I excited to see where this is going. You're right about that." You waited for him to continue. Yeah, I know, I figured this is somebody else right now, and so I probably would walk over and like find it. Like, I would be very suspicious, and I would probably walk over to Cove's, like, well, it's nighttime. Normally I would walk over to Cove's door and knock on the door and be like, hey, does somebody have your phone? Man, I'm going to see what's at your corner. I'm waiting for it to continue. Without much to go off on, you felt faintly curious about what he was leading up to. You free for a while, right? I got nothing big planned for the next few days. Cool, I thought so. I was just making sure. All right. You could almost hear Cove's intake of breath as he prepared for the next part, despite the conversation being text alone. I guess it was Cove. It just didn't sound like him. The window of your messaging app might as well have been a screenshot. You were left to keep track of the passing seconds with the rising and falling cries of crickets outside. When your screen darkened from inactivity, you wondered if you should do something yourself. Yes, you thought you could give him a nudge. No, you thought he'd get around to it when he was ready. Sure, you thought you could give him a nudge. I thought I was just making sure. Alright, Cove. You're struggling with what to write, huh? Take your time. Take your time. Almost immediately he started typing, like he'd only dreamt up the lull in the conversation. It'll be quick, hold on. The next message came almost instantaneously. What if we did something new or sort of unexpected? Would you be okay with that? Something we haven't ever done together? It depends on what it is. I don't know. It depends on what it is. You're the one who loves the water, so I don't know. You lowered your phone, leaning back against the headboard as you thought it over. The streets outside your window looked different at night, but you knew that if you were to wander out, there would be no chance of you losing your way. There wasn't a single inch of your neighborhood that you didn't know by heart. And everywhere you looked, from the grassy hill behind your house to the shops by the beach, you could recall a time you'd been there with Cove, mostly just chatting as you walked together. You didn't mind everyday things like that, but as for something new or unexpected. I'd love that. What exactly have you in mind? What's gotten into Cove Holden to want to do something brand new? You had no response to that. What exactly do you have in mind? Some things. One by one, Cove began presenting his ideas, starting off with attending a play. So we'd watched TV together and movies, but real people performing in front of us, we've never done that. I love the theater, so 100% would be up for that. I'm not sure what plays exactly are on right now, but that adds to the unexpected factor. There was a slight pause before Cove moved on to the next plan, visiting an aquarium. That makes sense, right? We go to the beach and stuff. We're pretty close to the water, but going to the aquarium would be water in a whole new way. The third and last idea was the one that was most out of the blue. Ice skating. I do enjoy ice skating too. I do enjoy ice skating, but if I had to choose between those three, I love the aquarium as well. Aquarium is cool, but I would rank them the theater at the top. Ice skating second, aquarium third. I do enjoy ice skating. It was a total wild card, and Cove was putting it and the polar opposite of what the two of you normally did. No, I wouldn't say that. I would say that we did. I at least normally would ice skate. Try to do it once a year. However, if it was fitting right in with the other options, it's something you had never done together. Let's say if hypothetically someone wanted to surprise you with an unexpected outing, would that be okay? You couldn't help but smile fondly at that, wondering to yourself who that someone could be. You said it would be perfect if that somehow happened. You joked that it wasn't much of a surprise. You said doing anything with him was good. Doing anything with him is good. As long as we're together, I'm okay. Oh, thank you. It was clear from the quickness, but if Derek is the surprise guest to go do this stuff with us too, I would not be opposed. Because I was hoping, since we've seen everybody else, including Shiloh, Derek would be a very pleasant way. That's where I would find my happiness for this particular moment. It was clear from the quickness of his reply and the following pause that you caught him off guard. He was temporarily left without anything to say, but eventually he recovered. Could you still pick a favorite? You burst out laughing, forgetting for a second the time of night. It'd be seeing a play. Seeing a play. You thought that was definitely something you and Cove should watch, side by side at least once. Alright, cool. Don't think too hard about this talk.
It doesn't mean anything. You're making me laugh with this. I sure hope it means something. Uh-huh, sure. I promise not to try figuring it out. You're adorable. I sure hope it means something. Sorry. Good night, Vaughn. It's really late now. Yeah, it is. Night, Cove. And with that final send-off, you put your phone to sleep and lowered it with a sigh. You had no idea when Cove was going to invite you to the theater, but your mind was buzzing with all the possibilities the coming days might bring. Your phone went back to its place on the nightstand, and you resumed snuggling to the mattress, one hand thrown to the side and the other shoved under your pillow. Somewhere between this day and the next, you finally found yourself asleep. The next morning, after washing up from breakfast, you had just climbed the stairs to your room, ready to tackle the day when you heard the ringing of the doorbell. You turned towards the sound, angling your head in confusion. Was someone expecting a visitor today? Then again, you weren't even sure if anyone else was around, judging by the lack of footsteps you were hearing. You raced back downstairs to answer the door. As you pulled it open and saw who it was, you were only further confused. Cove? He was standing there with an unsure look on his face at first, like he didn't know who would answer the door, but the moment he saw it was you, a shy grin appeared across his face. He raised one hand and gave you a little wave. Surprise? Hey, this is a surprise. Don't you normally use the window? What might you be here for this fine day? You simply greeted with a smile. This is a surprise. Don't you normally use the window? You found it funny how you had grown so used to him tapping that glass pane that showing up at your front door was what it took to get a reaction. Cove turned his head to the side with a considering lift of his eyebrows. I guess I do, but not today. I got you something. He slid his hand out from behind his back, holding it in front of your face as he offered the present to you. Your eyes widened once you saw what it was. A buttercup. Oh! You hadn't expected a gift at all, let alone something as thoughtful as this. He took a step towards you, so close you could see the sunlight shining through some flyaway strands of hair on the top of his head. There was a quiet little tremor in his voice when he spoke again. Surprise again? Do you like it? I do love buttercups. Nope, you said teasingly. Yes, because you got it for me. Speechlessly nodded. Stunned, you stood there and blushed. It's not my favorite, and I wouldn't say nope teasingly. Yeah, because you got it for me. Speechlessly, you nodded. Not because you got any, because I do enjoy them. I wouldn't call them my favorite, but I enjoy them. Speechlessly, you nodded. Stunned, you stood there and blushed. Yeah, because you got it for me. I'd be happy with weeds if they came from you. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. But... Hearing that, Cove grew flustered, averting his eyes with a nervous glance downward. Maybe next time. Oh, no, wait, I won't do that. His gaze landing on the flower, Cove laughed to himself, a thought slowly coming to him. My dad would be proud of me for doing all of this on my own, huh? You chuckled, imagining the stumbling display of fatherly pride Mr. Holden would subject his son to. Suddenly, Cove raised his head, his eyes finding yours and startling you into stillness. Cove's question came softly, his voice lingering on some words as his shyness got the better of him. Vaughn, would you go on a date with me today? I was thinking maybe we'd go to the theater. Is this a proposal? I'm starting to get suspicious. He inclined his head at you with a crooked smile. I had a feeling that might be a nice place to invite you to. Yes, I'd love to. You laughed at the ridiculousness of the surprise, but managed to say yes. You are my boyfriend. Of course you can ask me on a date. You're my boyfriend. Of course you can ask me on a date. Cove huffed a sigh of relief, his lips spreading in a wide, cheery smile. All right, we're gonna do it. With his big question asked and accepted, Cove raised the gift towards you again, gesturing with his other hand for you to receive it officially. You carefully took it from him. I'll put this somewhere safe, and then we can go. Cove had no problem with that. Still grinning, he stepped back, his body angling away as he waved a hand in the air. I'll get my car ready then. Meet me there. Okay. As soon as the door clicked shut, you dashed upstairs to your room, prepping a spot first for Cove's gift. Then, satisfied with your efforts, you grabbed your bag, tossing in whatever else you thought you'd need for the outing before heading back outside. Cove's old car was parked right in front of the house. You went straight to it, hopping into the shotgun seat. As you buckled yourself in, Cove leaned forward to watch you with an eager expression, his fingers tapping the dashboard to a lively sort of rhythm. He was ready to start, but trying to tone it down so you wouldn't feel rushed. I'm glad we're doing this together. Me too. Once your seatbelt was secured, Cove checked his mirrors to make sure that the street was clear before pulling away from the curb. And like that, the two of you began your trip. So when I looked it up, there were 2 shows we could pick from around this time. One was a historical romance with nobility, fancy outfits, drama, and stuff. The other seemed like a modern-day story, something set near a lake and at a bed and breakfast with comedy. It's kind of wacky, I guess. I prefer wacky comedy. Definitely prefer wacky comedy.
So?
What do you think? I want to see the comedy. I want to see the romance. You pick. Let's have chance decide. Nope. Comedy. Cool. I like the sound of that. Uh-huh. Can't go wrong with some silliness, right? Cove chuckled, his mouth pulled into a bent smile. Right.
All right.
I like how much customization you can have with this moment. I'm getting kind of excited. I wonder what it'll be like. I haven't seen a live play before. I have, and I liked it. I thought it was alright. I wasn't really a fan, but I'm doing this for you today. No, I liked it, and I liked it. I loved it. I don't know why the I loved it isn't there. I wouldn't just like it. Your eyes shone with delight, remembering the dazzling lights in the grand stage. The theater was a treat you certainly enjoyed. I find it really interesting that when he asked me, have you ever seen a show before, there was only one choice. It was yes. Interestingly, I don't know why there was no choice for me. Maybe because of previous choices that I made in the game? I don't know. The rest of the drive flew by, and soon enough, you were at the theater with Cove by your side. Tickets in hand, you both went inside. Shuffling down the aisles, Cove found the right seats. You were getting settled when the lights began to dim. We made it just in time. Your voice came out in a whisper. Glancing at Cove, you saw him staring straight ahead with eyes growing wider with intrigue. Then the actors started coming out onto the stage. The show set the scene, telling the story of a married couple and the bed and breakfast they inherited. It was a busy life filled with a constant stream of new and interesting guests. Hand in hand with that were the shenanigans that plagued their business, but that never stopped the couple. They intended to tackle any problem. The play continued on, and at one point, Cove reached out and covered your hand with his. Feather light, you felt him stroke the back of your hand with his thumb. You smiled at that, flipping your hand over, you held on to him. You leaned against him, you turned your hand to hold his. Inching closer, you rested the side of your head onto Cove's shoulder and interlaced your fingers with his. He sighed contentedly over how comfortable you got with him. You became absorbed in the story and performances, and you weren't the only one. Several times throughout, you could hear Cove's familiar laughter next to you. When the play finally came to a close, the audience broke into applause. Cove clapped for the actors until the noise died down, then he spoke for the first time since the event began. It's over. Hand in hand still, you followed Cove out of the theater. The sun was hanging low in the sky. I had so much fun. I can't believe what a good time that was. I'm glad you picked this, and I know you like plays, but is there a reason you went with this out of the other ideas? I'm just curious. It seemed like it'd be the most surprising. I wanted to experience a show with you. I've wanted to go to another play for a while. This was a good chance. I picked randomly. I don't know, honestly. Nope, I wanted to go to another play for a while. This was a good chance. Oh, cool. You could tell Cove was feeling pretty pleased with himself by the way his eyebrows rose and his smile curved. One of his suggestions was something he wanted to do regardless, and he was considering that a success. But really, I might have to come back sometime to see the other one. I'll come watch it with you. Cove scratched his cheek contemplatively. I sort of thought it was going to be harder to keep up with that, what's the phrase? Suspension of disbelief. The actors were right there, putting on a show. I thought it'd be too much to believe it was really happening.
Not bad.
But I felt more into it than with a lot of movies. I could totally picture the world they lived in. Amused, you nodded along and listened to Cove's animated commentary. I am still thinking about it even though it's over. Imagine if that was us, working together to run a little place of our own and dealing with all those crazy guests. People would come and go as they're passing through the area, giving us new stories to tell. But at the end of the day, it would be just the two of us who stayed forever, sticking it out and making a life there. He had stars in his eyes as he fantasized about the events of the story. I would love that. Yeah, I'm good with the life I'm already living. Are you envisioning us being married like the couple in the story, you joked? Bed and breakfasts do exist in real life. You could get one. You nodded along with him. You just shrugged. I'd say I would love that. Cove matched your beaming smile. It was easy to picture you and Cove in those roles. Your honesty brought a light blush to Cove's face. He nodded. A few quiet moments passed, and you noticed a distant look on Cove's face. He shook his head like he was trying to send a thought away. What is it? Trying to really picture a completely new life in a new place actually feels kind of weird. Now that I'm doing it, I'm not exactly sure how to explain. It's exciting, but also sad. I'm thinking too serious but I'm thinking too seriously about this dumb idea, I guess. But if I don't remember anything from this world, then it would be pointless that I had a life before. And if it did really happen, I probably would be surrounded by totally new people. I wouldn't have you with me anymore. Surprised, you sucked in a breath. Cove laughed shyly. The fun part of imagining it all was that you were there by default. Just getting to be somewhere else on my own wouldn't be nice, no matter how cool the place was. It's settled then. I'll just have to look you up. I'll just have to look for you if I wind up having another chance at life or magically end up in some other world. I hope you try to find me, too. Nervous, Cove's eyes didn't quite meet yours. His cheeks and ears were solidly red at this point. I'd find you, it's obvious. Of course I'd search for you. I'll never forget about you, Cove. I'll see how it goes. My new life might keep me busy. You're getting a bit too out there for me. It's not something you should worry about. You nodded. You don't know how to respond. I'd find you. It's obvious. No amount of space and time can stop us. Thank you, Vaughn. In that case, it'll work out after all. Definitely. He took a deep breath and stretched his arms high over his head. He then turned his head to your direction and pointed with his thumb to his car. We'd better get back to our real world now, huh? It's getting late and I think we're the only ones still out here. You spun around, getting a good look at your surroundings. Cove was right. All the other cars that were out here after the show had ended were long gone. How did I miss that? It surprised you how much you really lost track of everything for a while. You even failed to notice how dark it was until now. Come on, let's go home. After that, you made your way into Cove's car. He set course for your neighborhood. Your legs felt stiff from standing still and talking for so long, but it was worth it. A ways into the drive, Cove glanced towards your direction. You stretched your arms as you shifted in the seat, waiting patiently for him to say what was on his mind. So, I know this was unexpected, but thanks for coming along. Yeah, it really was. It was fun, but still the worst attempt at a surprise ever. Thank you for going to the trouble to plan this. Any date with you is a good one. Thank you for going to the trouble to plan this. You're welcome. It was no trouble at all. He spoke with a quiet confidence. He felt good about your reaction. The drive continued in comfortable silence. Cove wore a content expression on his face that warmed your heart. Doing things like this with Cove, he made you happy. Your heart skipped a beat thinking about how mutual the feeling seemed to be. Watching the passing scenery out the window, you relaxed into the seat. The time sped by. It wasn't too long before Cove pulled into his driveway. Sighing happily, you got out of the car while Cove came around to where you were standing. He stood there a moment, rolling a pebble under his shoe. I'll see you tomorrow? Definitely.
Thanks.
After that, you and Cove parted ways for the rest of the day. Even when you fell back into your normal routine, your mind refused to stop buzzing with the memory of your little adventure. As you crawled into bed and closed your eyes, you were back in the best parts of today. You hoped Cove's surprise would continue just a bit longer and continue in your dreams. After breakfast the next morning, you were sitting with your moms and Liz. While you were mildly listening to the conversation, the side of your face squished into the palm of your hand. The doorbell rang. Oh, I'll get it. Mom passed by you to the front door. Your eyes lazily followed her, then you turned your attention to Ma and Liz. They were still lightheartedly chatting. You weren't sure about what. Your focus snapped back when your name was called from across the room. Hey Vaughn, you have a guest. Be right there. On your way to the front door, Mom gave your shoulder a pat as she returned to the living room. When she moved by, you saw who was at the door. It was Cove again. A smile stretched out across his face at the moment your eyes met. Hi, Cove, sweetie. Instantly, you looked over your shoulder to see Ma several feet away, but within eyeshot of the door. She waved. When you faced Cove again, he was looking at the ground shyly. It reminded you of the last time you had seen him the night before. That was all the push you needed to step outside, closing the door behind you for some privacy. Hi, what's going on? What do you have up your sleeve today? You coming to the door all the time is starting to get weird. You coming to the door all the time is starting to get weird. You realize how ridiculous that sounds, right? Yeah, I know, that doesn't stop it from being true, and you're the one who made reasonable actions unheard of. Cove's mouth pulled into a bent smile and he shrugged. Then Cove chuckled awkwardly. He didn't quite meet your eye as he pulled out another gift from behind his back. Surprise! Want to go ice skating with me? What? You blinked and then switched to staring at him in bewilderment. Cove's eyes narrowed conspiratorially. The real surprise is that I'm going to invite you to all 3 places. You never had to choose only one. I just needed to make sure that they didn't sound completely terrible. How did you know that one of the ones was ones I wasn't really interested in doing?